Are you ready to take off but feel weighed down? Just like a plane can't soar with too much baggage, we can't grow when we're carrying fear and unforgiveness. That's where Fear and Forgiveness, a 16-day devotional and fasting journal, comes in. This book was created to help you release what's holding you back and move forward. Whether you use it as a standalone devotional or pair it with fasting, these 16 days will transform your heart, mind, and spirit. It's time to let go and rise higher. Grab your copy of Fear and Forgiveness today at barnesandnoble.com. Welcome to the G.L.O.E Podcast, where we talk all things God, life, the ups and downs, organization, because chaos is not cute, and entrepreneurship, aka chasing those dreams. Here, we glow boldly and live purposefully. I'm your host, Angel, and around here, we keep it real, mixing faith, strategy, and a few laughs along the way. Whether you're trying to get your business together, organize your life, or just need a little motivation, you're in the right place. If you've been hanging around for a while, welcome back, and I hope you bought a friend. If you're new here, welcome. Get comfy and stay a while. Hello, welcome to the G.L.O.E Podcast, and happy 2 years of hanging out with me every week. Y'all, I am so excited about this rebrand and even more excited that I got to do it on the 2-year anniversary of the show. I feel like that makes it even more special and even more memorable. Well, obviously it'll be memorable because it's the new name of the show, but just the fact that 2 years from the day that I started the show, I got to reveal the new name for it. It gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling about it. And I'm just happy that it fell on the day. So the idea for the rebrand came to me on a whim. I was having a coffee chat with a lady who was actually a guest on the show. Her episode will air in a couple of weeks here. I can't remember exactly what it was that she said, but whatever it was that she said, it made the word glow or the letters glow pop into my head. And I was like, that's what I talk about on the podcast. I talk about God, life, organization, and entrepreneurship. And at that time, I wasn't even thinking about rebranding. I just honestly wanted to figure out a way to incorporate it into the show because during that time, I was also going through my podcast coaching. And I had also listened to another show about podcasting, talking about how to make sure that when people see the name of your show, they can kind of get a glimpse into what it is. And the Modco podcast just wasn't doing that. So I wanted to incorporate that into the show somehow so that people would know what they were getting into. And at first, I thought, well, maybe I'll just make it like a tagline. I'll update my intro and change my intro to have something to do with that. And if you pay like really close attention to detail, you'll notice that around mid last year or end of last year, I can't remember exactly when it was, but I updated my cover and it was the all black cover that had God, life, organization, and entrepreneurship under it so that people could kind of know more about what the show was and what we talked about. But that still just wasn't sitting right with me. And so I decided that it was time for a complete change. I was super nervous about making this change. I kept thinking, what if it doesn't resonate with people? Or what if the new name confuses people and they don't realize that it's the same show that they love, just with the new name? And y'all, I even took to threads and posted and asked the question if anyone had ever rebranded their podcast. And if so, how did they go? What was their thoughts? Did they have any feedback? I got majority positive feedback from it. People telling me that they had just recently done it and, that they had a good experience with it. But there was one person that said they rebranded and it was the worst thing they ever did. And that right there made me hesitate and made me start to freak out. I was like, okay, this was my worst fear. And so after a little bit, I thought about it and I commented back and I asked her, I said, well, did you when you rebranded, did you change just the name or did you change all of your content? And it was like, I changed everything, the name, all my content, and I feel like I lost a lot of listeners. That made me feel a little bit better because everyone else that I had gotten the positive feedback from, they were all saying things like they just changed the name and the content wasn't. So I was still a little hesitant about it. And then I found out I was like, see, this is why you don't go around asking everybody's opinion and involving everybody in your business and what you got going on. Because when God tells you to do something, his opinion is the only one that matters. You don't need to go taking a thread, social media, calling your auntie, your best friend, your cousins, whoever, and getting them inside of your head and then letting that take over what God has already told you to do. So I was like, you know what? God told me to do it. This is what we're going to do. And I went for it. I started the process of rebranding maybe end of February, beginning of March. I'm not quite sure. And at that time, I didn't realize that the 2 year anniversary fell on a day that I released an episode. So I was thinking, I was like, okay, well, when am I going to do this rebrand? I don't want to rush myself into doing it. I want to give myself enough time, but not too much time. And when I realized what day the 2 year anniversary fell on, I said, cool, that's the perfect sign. I went into a deep dive with it. I was researching colors to find out like what certain colors meant and how they look together and how they mesh well together and what people think when they see certain colors, because I really wanted to make sure that the colors resonated with my podcast as well as with my business, and that the colors were eye popping and catching, that people would pay attention to them and see them. So I'm excited about the new colors. I absolutely love my new colors for my show. And I wanted to change it because the show originally started off just talking about organization and entrepreneurship. But I realized that the show has grown since then. Or I've had people on here that talk about their walk with God. They talk about their faith and how that's affected their entrepreneurship, or how their faith has affected their life. Also, I have people that a lot of our topics end up being about life in general. I have a lot of mompreneurs on here. I have a lot of moms on here, and we talk about their life and their organization and God and entrepreneurship. I wanted a name that reflected that. When I first started talking about God on the show, I was a little nervous because once again, I had read somewhere that someone said when a show gets too religious, it turns them off. And I don't think the show is super religious or anything like that. And I mean, some people may think that it is really religious. I don't think it's super religious. It's super religious. It's just we're having conversations about God and our faith. And I also remember that when I first started podcasting, my mom was like, well, you need to thank God or give him some praise on your show. And I was like, okay, mom, whatever. And in my mind, I'm thinking, that's not what my show is about. And I don't want to turn people off. But then I started realizing God has been good to me. He has been important. He has been good to me. He's been good to my family. He is important in my life. And I'm going to share what he tells me to share. I have had some great stories on here about faith and the way that God has moved in people's life. So I am happy that I have incorporated that aspect into my show. A lot of the topics are about life in general, going through a hardship or balancing it all. How do you balance God, organization, entrepreneurship with the other kabillion things that you have going on in your day? And that part was kind of happening unintentionally, but it always seemed to be like a good flow of the show. So I was like, that needs to be incorporated in there. I have grown so much in the past 2 years from podcasting. And I'm not just talking about stats, I'm talking about as a guest and a host. So much so that even a few weeks ago, the host of my very first guest episode posted about it, and she asked me to share the post on my page. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this was my first guest spot. I don't remember what I said. I was like cringing. I was like, but I'm pretty sure that whatever I said, it was probably embarrassing. I'm embarrassed by it. I was like just freaking out. And part of me wanted to go back and listen to it, but I was like, I don't know if I want to relive that or not. And I even thought about going back and archiving some of my old episodes because, whew, y'all, when I tell you the growth is real, it is real. I did finally decide against archiving them. I know that a lot of shows do that, but I think it's important to remember where you started from and where you are now and where you want to go in the future. I also think that it's important for your audience to see that and to hear that as well. So I did tell myself that I was going to go back and listen to that first guest episode. I'm not quite ready for it yet, but I'm putting it on my list of things to do. That is the story behind the rebrand, the story behind G.L.O.E. The new tagline for it is "Glow boldly, live purposefully." Um, I'm getting a t-shirt with it. Actually, I already have the t-shirt for it. I am going to a retreat next month in May. And I wanted to have a t-shirt with the new tagline. I'm excited about that. I'll share the t-shirt online when it gets here. I did change the design slightly from the sample that I got, but it's still basically the same, just a couple of tweaks that I made. But I just want to say thank you to you all. If you have ever shared an episode, sent me a message, or shared your love for the show in person, thank you so much. Thank you for hitting play while you're folding the laundry, working out, drinking your coffee, walking the dog, or doing whatever it is that you do while you have me in your ear. I am truly grateful for that. You are a part of this glow up, and words honestly cannot express how grateful and how appreciative I am of you all. The show is not changing. It's still me behind the mic, still the same content, still the same message, just with a new name that reflects what it's really about. And I am looking forward to more episodes about God, life, organization, and entrepreneurship. So cheers to 2 more years and hopefully many more. That's it for today's episode of the G.L.O.E Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're walking away with something that fuels your journey. And remember, glow boldly, live purposefully, and I'll talk to you next time. Y'all know I run on coffee, and so does the show. If you want to keep the episodes flowing, head over to buymeacoffee.com/themodcosc. Whether it's a one-time boost or monthly support, every cup helps keep this podcast going.